Well, Shimano have a really good reputation for making some really reliable products. And we've known that they've dominated the market for a long time. And so they should, because their products have been very, very good. But in recent years, there's been a few question marks over Shimano products. And that's been the crankset and also power meters that have been now introduced into the Shimano group set lineup. So let's roll the intro and let's have a little bit of a talk about where Shimano is going a little bit wrong with their newer group sets. Well, the main point of talking is power meters. Now, power meters really haven't been too good on the Shimano group sets. Now, they're on their second try, and they've even changed the shape of the crankset because their crankset used to be asymmetric, and there has been some concerns about that not being ideal for power because you're not getting consistent loading across the crank. But the problem is now they fixed that and they've still got problems with their power meters. Now, this has been well documented that the power meters that Shimano are making really just aren't up to par in related to other power meters which are significantly less or aftermarket products. And normally you would expect with a named product that's associated with that product, like that group set Shimano, you would expect that power meter would be of a higher standard. But unfortunately, that's not the case. And it's even been noted that the pro riders are actually adding other power meters onto their drivetrain to read the power because the Shimano system is just not reliable. And what concerns me the most is that Shimano really had an opportunity to fix this with the new group set and designing the new crank arms and getting that power meter to work effectively with their new crankset. Now, you can probably speculate that the design is probably not ideal for a power meter because you've got two different type of material components that are glued together. So there's an interface and there is two different types of materials. But where there's a bit of a question mark there is that there's products like Stages and that have been able to make devices that you can fit onto the crank arms that actually work quite well. So that theory or that logic, even though it may complicate things a little bit, doesn't really work in giving Shimano an out for why this power meter doesn't work too well. Now, it's interesting. I find it very interesting. You think a big company like Shimano would do something like SRAM does. They would go and buy a company that has the expertise or buy in the people that have the expertise to design these power meters. But it looks like they haven't done that. They've tried to design it from the ground up, which is really not a good idea because what a lot of people don't realize with these power meters, they're quite complex and the loading is not consistent. It's not like you have a load meter and the loading is quite consistent. There's a lot of algorithms that have to basically correct or accommodate for those different forces and the parasitic forces as well that are in the arms. So to give you that reading, and of course that varies considerably going from the inner ring to the outer ring, and those problems still exist on the Shimano system, which have been sorted out with other brands many, many years ago. So I have to say, come on, Shimano, because I'm a campy guy and I like to ride campy, but the reason why I like to ride campy is not because I've got anything really against Shimano. I just like the ergonomics of the campy systems. I like the separate button systems. I like the way they change. I like the sharper clunkiness that I feel when I'm riding my campy. It's not so much that I don't like Shimano. Well, I don't really like the way that their systems work and their buttons work. But That's just an ergonomic thing, a interface thing that I've got with that group set. But I haven't got anything against Shimano as a group set. They're very, very popular, been very, very successful. But this whole power meter crankset thing, which we thank Shimano with the corrosion they have, I think they really need to forget about this hollow technology, chuck it in the bin and go to some different technology. And they may be able to get their power meter to work more consistently, and also they would eliminate their corrosion problems that we're having. And that corrosion problem, I know some people go, I've never seen it. I don't know anyone that's had it. But there is significant examples and people that have got them swapped out and had exactly the same problem with their neck crankset. Now, you might say it's the environment, it's this, how they ride them in the wet or whatever. But whatever it is, when you're paying that sort of money for a group set, you should be able to ride it in all conditions. It shouldn't be affected by different climates and weather. You should be able to just use it and it works as advertised. All the rest of the Shimano group set works great. But the crank set and now the power meter really need some significant work. So leave your comments down below. Have you had any problems with the Shimano crank set, or have you had any problems with the Shimano power meter? Because they are saying that you can stop pedaling and or keep reading and so forth. That has all these little quirks in it. It's not reading too well, and it varies from small ring to big ring. Have you seen any of those things in you using your Shimano power meter? Leave them down below. Well, anyway, guys, that's where I'm going to leave it. And let's hope that Shimano watch this video and they're going to take that on board, and in their next iteration, they're going to fix this issue. I don't think it's a problem issue. Even if they outsource it or subcontract it, they could get it fixed. Anyway, guys, that's where I'm going to leave it, and I'm going to see you next vid.